and welcome you all for the course in animal physiology. So, all those who have taken up this course, so I have been teaching this course for a while, and every time I teach this course, new way of thinking about physiology. So, I believe again this time while I will be teaching, giving you 60 lectures. It is a 12-week course, and every week we will be having 5 lectures which will be aired all across wherever our viewers are. And so, I will believe it will be another set of new experience about teaching animal physiology. So, whenever we talk about animal physiology, there are a few things which comes in mind. Say for example, in our day to day life, we hear several words relevant to our health. We hear somebody is having diabetes, or somebody suffers from an accident, had a blood clotting, or a hemorrhage, or somebody has urinary tract infection, or as simple as diarrhea. So, these are several words which comes very frequently, or a simple fever where the temperature of the body rises. So, some of us understands, some of us goes to the doctor and doctors explain certain things, part of it we understand, part of it we do not understand. So, the aim of this course will be to educate ourselves about our own body in a very simple way. So, in order to understand our own body, say for example, somebody is having diabetes. So, we all have a rough idea, it has something to do with sugar is not absorbed or some issues, but what it is. Or when you talk about hemorrhage, we understand something to do with blood, but what is blood, what is blood clotting, what is hemorrhage, what is sugar doing, what sugar has to do with diabetes. These are simple words, but a physiologist will be able to put this word in a sequence so that it makes sense to a lay person. That's precisely will be my goal in this course. Whenever you come across a situation related to your body, you should be able to, if not diagnose, you should be able to tell the doctor exactly what are the symptoms and where you believe is things are happening. Then of course, you can leave it to the doctor to think over it and diagnose it properly with series of tools, diagnostic tools to figure out what has happened. So, in a sense, or say for example, let me give you another situation. Many a times doctors prescribe medicine, and as Indians it is our nature, we never ask that the nature of the medicine, how it is going to react in our body. But to tell you a fact from my own life, while I was in US, I used to see that everybody used to ask the doctor, and even I also developed that habit of asking the doctor how this medicine is going to work in my body, what it is going to do, and the doctor is compelled, or doctor it is part of the to explain this, because end of the day it is your body. But something what we lack here in India is that we do not ask this question. Not asking this question is either you are fully trusting or you are really ignorant, which is not good. It is good to know, because I am not asking that you become a doctor, but at least you ask the doctor, at least increase your understanding about your own self, and that understanding can only happen when you have some basic understanding of basic physiology or about your body and how your body functions. So, once again let me welcome you all. So, today is our first lecture So, the first 5 lectures or the first week will lay the foundation stone of the structure of the course. In other words, what all topics will be following in the first 5 weeks will give us a direction. So, I strongly recommend you all that go through these first 5 lectures very carefully. So, from that point onward, you will be able to correlate things at what level we are talking about, and will come what I meant by level and complexities and what kind of control mechanisms we will be talking about. So, these first 5 lectures, and there will be some degree of spillover at different times. I will mention that wherever such a spillover takes place. So, let us enumerate what all topics we will be touching during this first week, during the first 5 lectures. Okay. So, as the title of the course, Animal Physiology, and we are starting with week 1. So, these are the topics what we will be covering during week 1. The first is an introduction to anatomy and physiology, anatomy and physiology. Second one will be the chemical level of organization, the chemical level of organization. Next one is the cellular level of organization. Just let me change the color. So, the cellular level of organization. Next will be the tissue level of organization, and fifth one will be the beginning of a system. The very first system we will be dealing with will be integumentary system. Okay. So, now as you see, I have put 3 level of organization, a molecular level of organization or a chemical level, which will boil down to the basic molecules of life, including DNA, proteins, lipids and carbohydrates. Next level, where these simple molecules self-assemble to form the smallest functional machinery of our body called a cell, an individual cell. And post that, next level of organization, where several cells perform a specific function, and such colony of cells which perform a specific set of functions is called tissue. So, there are 3 levels: chemical or molecular level of organization, the cellular level of organization and the tissue level of organization, and we will enumerate these different levels. And the first system will be the integumentary system. So, in the first week of these 5 lectures what we will be covering, our major thrust will be on these 4 topics, and we will be closing on with integumentary system, or if time does not permit, we will move it on to the next week. But definitely our goal will be to understand these parts. It's okay. Okay. After this. So, to start off with, we will be starting off with an introduction to anatomy and physiology. Let us move to the first topic, and introduction to anatomy and physiology. So, before I get into this topic, I must say that these are specialty topics of biology, and what really biology is? It is the study of life. So, when we talk about the study of life, so we have to distinguish between living and non-living. So, if we look into our basic understanding, a living system, a life form has certain unique features, and if you have those features, we call that as a life form, which includes, there are certain parameters. Let us enumerate some of these parameters to start off with. So, okay. So, now just now I talked to you about biology, which is the study of life forms, life and its forms and functions. This is what biology is all about. Okay. And there are certain features of any living system. And what are those features? Let us enumerate those features of living systems. It has something called a level of organization. We will talk about that. Just few minutes back we talked about one level of organization, the chemical level, cellular level and the tissue level. Next is responsiveness. This organized structure is responsive. What does that mean? Responsiveness means a system respond to external stimulus. So, you are walking or you are standing somewhere, all of a sudden it starts raining. So, you feel wet and either you get more into the rain or you run away from the rain. It means you are responding to the rain. It means you have sensors on your body by which you are sensing it. So, that is called responsiveness. Why this responsiveness is essential? It is a very simple term, but try to think slightly beyond the scope. So, we live in a system which is continuously changing. What does that mean? That means we live in a system where the temperature is varying, where the precipitation is changing, where it may be possible that you are climbing, so the pressure is changing, and the system, the organized structure which has developed, it could be any life form, is a function of these external changes. It has to adapt itself according to the changing environmental constraints. It may be very sunny, it may be very hot, or it may be very cold, or it may be very rainy, or you may be in the water, or you may be walking up in the mountains, or you may be walking down the slope, or you may be in a vehicle. So, based on the surrounding physical parameters, which includes temperature, wind, oxygen level, precipitation, light, our body adjusts itself. In order to adjust itself, it needs to have a series of sensors on its surface, and these sensors respond to several stimulus, series of stimulus. We respond to smell, we respond to noise, we respond to light, we respond to touch, so many of these things, and that is what makes us responsiveness. So, in other words, if we consider in a diagrammatic way, if we consider ourselves this first circle as the system, which is you, me, or any other living system, and if this is the surrounding, this is the second circle what I am drawing as the surrounding. So, this surrounding has lot of fluctuations happening, fluctuations like in terms of, as I mentioned, in terms of temperature, in terms of pressures, environmental fluctuations or natural fluctuations. So, these fluctuations are sensed by the system, and the system within itself, this recalibrate its status. What does that mean? It recalibrate. Suppose you are feeling very cold, do like this, right? You are recalibrating, your system is generating heat in order to protect yourself. That is called a recalibration. But then how you do this? Say for example, outside, you go outside the room and the temperature is very low. So, all your sensors across the skin senses the temperature is low, it started feeling cold. So, you start doing your hands like this, right? That is exactly the whole process. So, that is called a responsiveness post reaction to a particular stimulus. Okay, that is what I meant by responsiveness. So, it is very important that these words are very important. So, keep a tab, try to think beyond that what does these simple words means. Okay. So, a system is responsive, it can readjust itself according to the situation. Okay. So, the next in that same line is third property of the system is it grows, it has a growth and differentiation. In other words, we all grow. When we are born, we are small and then we grow up, and in that process we have developed several faculties within our system. We became intelligent, our nervous system grew up, and we developed our reproductive potential. There are several changes which are happening within the system, and those changes are called, this is this second word which is important, which I am putting in yellow, is the differentiation. And the first word is the growth, which means we are growing over a period of time. So, in other words, this is means there are changes in within your system with respect to time and space. Your body space, there are changes which are happening within you. So, in other words, when you are born, or rather let us, even if you go back, when you are conceived in the mother's womb, when you are born, and as you grow old, there are irreversible changes. Mark my word, there are irreversible changes happening in your system. Say for example, easiest example comes from nervous system. In your childhood, if you are traumatized or you are scared of something, that memory continues. Say for example, at some point you have an event taking place, you are scared of something. So, this memory will continue to haunt you all your life, unless otherwise you do some means to get rid of it, but which is very tough, but you cannot wipe it away. So, in other words, your system has already stored a piece of information at some point, and it will continue to use that experience to modulate your next acts. You understand? So, if it happens today, this event is going to modulate or influence your activities in the years to come, in the days to come, in the next moment, because there is a permanent change, permanent imprint of that event which has taken place in your system. So, that is what it meant by in this time and space within your own system there are permanent changes, and those changes are very critical, not only from survival instinct, but from the evolutionary perspective. So, this is the third aspect. So, let us number them: A, organization; B is the responsiveness; C is growth and differentiation. And let us move to the next one, that is our reproduction. So, for the success of a species, so remember this basic thumb rule: the success of a species is governed by the number of offsprings they have, how much they can reproduce, which determines their evolutionary success. The more you are, more chances that you will gather more food and you will have more control over the resources. So, this aspects of reproduction is very critical from the survival and evolutionary success and ecological advantage for an organism. Okay? And again, this reproduction process is a time dependent curve, just like growth and differentiation. So, this process, this graph happens at some specific point, depending on the species, okay, when they become mature and they reproduce. The next aspect in it is movement. All living forms have some form of a movement, including the plants. I am not talking about a plant is walking from one point to another, but they move towards sunlight, phototrophism, geotropism. Okay, these are following the gravity or following the sun. These are movement from one place towards a stimulus. So, similarly, but again in case of human or other animals, the movement is very discrete, you really can see they can move, and this movement gives them a evolutionary advantage in terms of avoiding their prey, avoiding their predators, avoiding their enemies, and hunting for food or going after the resources or gathering together. So, this movement has several benefits in terms of, and whenever I talk about benefits, I talk about this word evolutionary benefits. Okay? How it helps in survival benefits, evolutionary survival benefits. Okay. So, these are not really benefits in terms of some financial benefits I am talking about. I am talking about what are the advantages or benefit it accrues by having these features inbuilt in its system. So, the next in that line is movement, post movement is metabolism and excretion. Metabolism and excretion. So, metabolism and excretion, these two are very critical in a sense that biological system which is a self assembled unit of cells and tissues has the potential to either harvest energy by taking some energy rich molecules, or it can directly harvest solar energy in case of plants. Okay. So, there are two kind of systems, the plant and the animal. In case of plants, they harvest energy directly from sunlight and they convert simple molecules into carbohydrates, whereas those are called autotrophs. Okay. Whereas we are heterotrophs, we consume these different plant material which are filled with energy rich, or we can even consume animal proteins or animal fats, and we convert these molecules to other byproducts, and in that process we harvest energy from them, and those byproducts which are no more needed by the body are thrown out of the body. But this process of converting these molecules to different kind of byproducts and extract the energy from it falls under a big topic called metabolism, which is summation of two words, anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is where small molecules are made to form a heavy molecule laden with energy rich bonds, whereas catabolism is the process where such big molecules are being broken down, catabolic process, and the system is equipped with a machinery by virtue of which you can throw away those byproducts or waste products which body does not need. Okay. So, these are basically the features which is defined for a living system, and as we will go through, you will realize all these things will come one by one, that while we will talk about physiology of different systems. Okay. So, this is our first lecture when I am closing in today. In the next lecture, we will talk about the different aspect of physiology, different level of organization. As we remember, in the very first fragment I showed you, organization. So, we will be in the very next lecture, we will start with different level of organization and different functional aspect and different classification of anatomy. Okay. Thank you, and once again welcome you all for this journey into our own body. Thank you.